Hello, it's Sonia here at The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Tuesday, and that means it's Tunisian Tuesday. So today I thought I would be going over something that I've been doing with Tunisian Tuesday. I have a couple of Tunisian patterns that I translated in from knit patterns, from actual knitting patterns, and I did have a viewer expressed that they wish that I had shown the actual knitting pattern, and it gave me the idea of how you would convert a regular knitting stitch pattern into Tunisian crochet. So I thought I would go over that today. Okay, so here is last week's stitch pattern right here. I converted this guy into Tunisian crochet, and then the week before I did this one here, I converted this knit stitch pattern into Tunisian crochet. So you might be wondering, will all knit stitch patterns convert into Tunisian crochet? And I'm going to say as of now, no. I just started kind of exploring this, so I'm not 100% sure. You might be able to, but as of right now, I'm going to say no, and I am going to explain why. So first of all, if you do want to try to convert some knit stitch patterns into Tunisian crochet, I think that's amazing. But so to be successful at converting knit stitch patterns into Tunisian crochet patterns, first of all, I really think you should know how to knit. So if you don't know how to knit, then I think it's going to be really challenging for you. I just feel like you should have just the basic knowledge of knitting. You don't have to be a prolific knitter at all. Trust me, I am not. But you should have the basics down. So what I mean by that is casting on, and you can cast on however you like. It doesn't matter how you cast on, but you know how to cast on. So casting on, so here we go right here. I've casted on this knitting needle. So that's putting on your stitches. So just like with Tunisian crochet, we put our loops on our hook. So with knitting, you would want to know how to do that. So another thing that you would want to know how to do if you wanted to try converting knit patterns into Tunisian crochet is also you would want to know how to do the basic knit stitch and how to do the basic purl stitch. So if you can do those two things and have an idea of how to read a knitting pattern, like it's pretty similar to crochet patterns. Like you have, like this one is multiple of 6. So what that means is you're casting on a multiple of 6. So with Tunisian crochet, sometimes you will see you'll need to chain a multiple of 6 or multiple of 5 plus 3, something like that. So knitting is similar as far as that goes. So with this particular pattern, you cannot do exactly as this and translate it into Tunisian crochet because it just isn't going to, it won't work right at all. The reason being is, so here this says multiple of 6. So with knitting, you're going to cast on a multiple of 6 and you can jump right in and you can just start doing this stitch pattern. But with Tunisian crochet, you wouldn't be able to do that. So what you would need to do is you would need to chain a multiple of 6 and then you're going to add 2, because with Tunisian crochet, you have the interior of the stitch pattern and then you have like your bookends, the stitches on the end. So to further kind of help you to understand what I mean, so here I went ahead and I chained 14. So I did chain a multiple of 6, so 6 times 2 is 12, so I chained 12, and then I added 2. So with this particular stitch pattern, it says to cast on a multiple of 6, and then here's your row 1. So with knitting, you can just jump right into this stitch pattern right away. But with Tunisian crochet, you're not going to be able to just jump in and say, so this means wool round needle. I think this is a really old stitch pattern, so I think the newer version would be just saying yarn over. But WRN means wool round needle. It means to yarn over, and that is an increase. So basically you're increasing. So you can't really start increasing right away. You need to get your foundation row going with Tunisian crochet. So for this particular stitch pattern, so I have my second chain from my hook. I'm going to pull up my loop and I'm going to work row 1, just the basic putting on the stitches for my forward pass and then taking my stitches off on my return pass. And then row 2 will actually start this particular stitch pattern. Okay, so I have completed my row 1. So now that I have got this row down, now I can jump in and start using these knit directions and translating them into Tunisian crochet. So wool round hook is basically a yarn over, so that translates really well into Tunisian crochet, because we do yarn overs in Tunisian crochet. So yarning over, and then you so they're saying to make 1, so that's an increase, and then K2 here is knit 2 and then knit 2 together. So you can do that with Tunisian crochet, so you just work 2 knit stitch and then knit 2 together. Also is a decrease stitch, so do the knit decrease stitch and then just keep going and then knit 2, and you just keep repeating that across, and you have your forward pass for your Tunisian crochet all set up, and then you just work your return pass. Now, what makes knitting patterns different than Tunisian crochet? So when you're knitting, so here I am back to my knitting needles. I'm not going to do this particular stitch pattern, but especially if you're not familiar with how to knit at all, I'm just going to try to give an overview. I'm not going to teach you how to knit, but just like how the fundamentals of knitting works compared to Tunisian crochet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work a row of, sorry, it gets a little clanky, of knit stitches, just regular knitting all the way across. Just this is the knit stitch for actual knitting. So that what I'm demonstrating is the actual knit stitch. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, so here I've worked 1 row of just the regular knit, just knitted, work the regular knit stitch. And so with knitting, each row is just 1 pass. So with Tunisian crochet, as we know, each row is 2 passes. So let me just finish up this row of just doing, I'm going to do the Tunisian knit stitch. So this is the Tunisian knit stitch that I'm doing right now. And if you are not familiar with Tunisian crochet and would like to learn, I do have a complete playlist that goes over the basics to get you started. So here we go. This is the forward pass. So with Tunisian crochet, each row is 2 parts. So the first part, you are putting your stitches on your hook, and then the second part, you're taking your stitches off. And then each part equals 1 row. So this is the return pass. This is the second part of the row. So yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So with knitting, you don't have to do 2 parts for 1 row. You just work 1 row at a time, just like similar to if you know how to do regular crochet, you don't do 2 parts for 1 row. But that's the unique thing with Tunisian crochet. You do two steps for each row. So now I have completed row 1 here, and then here is row 1. So when we started this row 1 with knitting, we started here, worked here. So now to do the second row, I need to turn my needles over this way, grab my second needle. You're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do knit again, but now I'm starting at the other end. So just like with crochet, it's like you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The same thing applies to knitting. But with Tunisian crochet, that doesn't happen. You are always starting at the same part of each row. So you're always going to go across here and go back here, and that's 1 row. So you're always going to start on this end of the row. Where with knitting and like regular crochet, you're not doing that. So with knitting, you will have a wrong side and you'll have a right side. So we did knit stitch with our first row. So if we want to have a regular, let's say stockinette stitch, So stockinette, if you're not familiar with that, what that looks like, and you will recognize what stockinette is, because if you've seen sweaters in stores, lots of sweaters in stores are knit in regular stockinette. So this stitch pattern right in here, don't look at these little fancy crisscross things here, but right here in the center, that is regular stockinette stitch. That's what it's called, stockinette stitch. And when you're working stockinette in rows, you're going to have a right side, which would be this, and then you're going to have a wrong side. So the wrong side, to achieve the wrong side, you're working purl stitches, just regular knit purl. So here I am demonstrating a purl stitch so that I can work my stockinette. Okay, so I'm back. I finished up working the purl stitch, which would have been the wrong side of my work. So you can see that's the beginning of the stockinette stitch. So this would be considered the right side of our work. Just like this particular stitch pattern here, this is the right side. So these directions, what they're showing is that all of the odd rows here, so row 1, row 3, are the right side of the work. And then rows 2 and 4, which are purl rows, they would be the wrong side of the work. So when you're doing Tunisian crochet, you are always working on the right side. So when you're converting regular knitting directions, because most of them, like stitch patterns, so this is like a stitch dictionary in a magazine form, they are showing working right side and wrong side. Where with Tunisian crochet, you're always working on the right side. So rows 2 and 4, if we worked purl rows on Tunisian crochet, it would completely take away from the pattern. Now, of course, as if you've seen the other videos, so like I'll put a link for this stitch pattern because I did convert this one into Tunisian crochet. It does look different. It does. But if I worked that pattern exactly like the knit directions, it would look way different. So the Tunisian version, it has similarities to this, but obviously it is definitely different. But again, if I threw in those purl stitches, it would look, I think it would just look like a big hot mess, to be honest. So with converting this one into Tunisian crochet, even though it looks different, it still looks like something. It looks like a pattern. It looks intentional, where if I just threw in the purl stitches like these directions are saying, it would not look intentional. It would just look like you're just playing around probably and hoping that it looks like something, but it really doesn't. So that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to convert a knit pattern into Tunisian crochet. If the stitch pattern is worked in rows, then you have to understand that the wrong side rows of the knit pattern, you can't do it the same way as the Tunisian one. So for rows 2 and 4, these are purl rows. Because I'm working on the right side of my work, and the right side of our work for the knit version are all knitting stitches. So this is, this is yarn over to make 1, knit 2 together, knit 2. So all of that is a knit stitch. It's just a variation of the knit stitch. And same with row 3, knit 2 together, knit 2, make 1, which is the yarn over. It's still the knit stitch, but it's just a variation. So I know for Tunisian crochet, again, because I'm never working on the wrong side, I'm not flipping it over, I'm always working on the right side, I don't want to purl, I just want to do plain knit stitches because the right side of the pattern consists of knit stitches. So I hope that makes sense. So another way to see if a knit pattern will translate into Tunisian crochet is you want to read the directions. So that's why I say you do need to have a basic idea of how knitting works and how to read a knit pattern. So like this pattern works because in Tunisian crochet we know how to knit and we know how to purl in Tunisian crochet. There are actual stitches in Tunisian crochet, just like knitting. But some of these other ones, so here we go down here. So like this one, I don't know if this one could be translated into Tunisian crochet. I haven't tried yet, but there are certain techniques in knitting that are different in Tunisian crochet. Just like regular crochet, there's certain techniques in, you know, regular crochet that are obviously different. So in this particular pattern, it does have knit purl 1 for row 1. So it looks like the odd rows for this one is also the right side of the work, and row 2 would be the wrong side. So far so good. So you're like, oh, knit 3, purl 1. So you can do that with Tunisian crochet. You can work row 1 of this pattern, no sweat, no problem. And row 2, I'm not even sure, because I think this one will be really challenging to convert into Tunisian crochet, because even though these are the wrong side of this work is still creating this stitch pattern. So where this guy, you're just working purl basically to get back to the right side. But this one, you're actually working the wrong side work is also part of the stitch pattern. So I'm not sure how that would work. But what really makes me think that this would not work in Tunisian crochet is row 3. So you have the yarn over, no problem with Tunisian crochet. But then you slip 1, and then it gets like challenging for Tunisian crochet. So I don't know if there's slip 1s. I don't know how you could do that with Tunisian crochet other than doing a bind off, maybe. I don't know. You could definitely do knit 2 together, but then there's PSSO, which stands for pass slip stitch over, and that is a fairly common knitting term. I can do it. I always forget. Like I said, I am not a prolific knitter, so when I see that in directions, I'm like, oh, I need to YouTube that. I need to YouTube it to see how to do it again. But this one, you're kind of going back and forth with your needles from what I remember. Like you're going from the left needle to the right needle to the left, you know, back and forth. Where with Tunisian crochet, we're only working with one hook. So I think this stitch would be really difficult to create in Tunisian crochet, because you know, you're incorporating 2 needles with this guy, where Tunisian crochet, we got 1 hook. So I don't know if this stitch pattern is possible in Tunisian crochet. I don't want to say it's impossible, but as of now, I'm going to say like this one would be a no-go. This one down here might be a go. I just gave it a once over. And I think this one would be a go, but it looks like I'd have to kind of go through this. I think it could, but it would be challenging because, again, it looks like there's really, even the wrong side of the work is still being incorporated into the pattern. So I would have to figure out how to do that with Tunisian crochet to kind of get this look. So I think the simple ones are, if you know for sure, like let's say this is a knit, and then the rows 2 and 4 are the purl rows, and basically you're just purling to get back to the right side. So with Tunisian crochet, you would just do straight knit. And also, so here is this one that I converted into Tunisian crochet. It's the same kind of deal as the other one. So all of the directions, so the rows 1, all of the odd rows, they are the right side, and all of the odd rows are knit rows. Just different versions, like we're knitting 2 together, which you can do that in Tunisian crochet, but they're knit rows. And then rows 2 and 4 are just purl rows. So that is the wrong side of the work. So for Tunisian crochet, you just work straight knit all the way across. So this one is an easy one to convert into Tunisian crochet. Now again, it's not going to look exactly the same as the knit version, as I'll just pop some pictures up so you can see that, you know, obviously the Tunisian version does not look like this, but it's still a very cool stitch. It's still really fun to try to convert a knit pattern into Tunisian crochet. Now here are some on this page that I actually think could be converted into Tunisian crochet, and I might actually feature them because they do use basic knit stitches, purl stitches in knitting. They're just straightforward knit purl, which we have those in Tunisian crochet as well. But again, these ones I would have to figure out because again, you have your right side, wrong side, right side, wrong side. Now these, from what I'm looking at, because I do have a little bit of knowledge of knitting, so I think I would have to kind of figure out how that would all work to get it to look similar to this, which I definitely think is possible with Tunisian crochet. So I think I will try to convert some of these. And so here I actually did this one here. So it is kind of stretchy like a ribbing, but it's kind of just this cool diagonal look, which I do think would look really neat in Tunisian crochet. Obviously would look different. And this one is reversible, where with Tunisian crochet, it will not be reversible. Tunisian crochet, the other side could look really cool, but it's not going to look like this, reversible. So that is the difference. So yeah, I think these patterns on here could definitely be translated into Tunisian crochet, especially this one. I think this one would be really cool, this chevron rib. But when doing that, again, you're going to need to add 2 more stitches. So like this one says multiple of 4. So you would chain a multiple of 4, but then you would add 2. Because again, you're going to have your bookend stitches. So here is my row 1 of that one where it said chain a multiple, or it said multiple of 6. So that would be casting on a multiple of 6. So I chained 14. So because you're always going to have your bookend stitches right here. I have my thumbs covering it. So then all of these stitches are the actual stitch pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So those stitches, that would be the multiple of 6. But because, again, we're doing Tunisian crochet, we need to add 2 because you're going to need to have, that's basically the edging here and then the edging here. So hopefully that makes sense. So again, this is multiple of 4. So if you wanted to convert it into Tunisian crochet or you saw something similar like that, you would chain a multiple of 4. So like you could do, you could chain 16 and then you would add 2. So then you would chain 18. Same with this one, multiple of 4. Again, chain 16, add 2, 18. So this one's multiple of 6. So you could chain 18 and then add 20, and same with this guy. So again, you're always just adding 2 stitches. Now this one, I actually might have done this moss array stitch in Tunisian crochet. I'll have to look. But this one's multiple of 2. That's fine. You're not going to have to add extra stitches. You could just do, chain 14 or chain 10 or chain 8 or whatever to do this one. But this one, multiple of 10, add 2. So again, that's just kind of the difference with the knitting and the Tunisian crochet, and just looking at the stitch pattern, figuring out what is actually the right side of the knit pattern, and then how you would incorporate that into a Tunisian pattern. So it is a little bit complicated, and maybe this is not making any sense to you. But again, just to recap, if you do want to try to, like if you have a knitting stitch dictionary and you want to try to convert it into Tunisian crochet, first of all, have a little bit of knowledge on how to knit. As long as you can cast on, your knit stitch, your purl stitch, you don't even really necessarily need to know how to bind off, because you do bind off in knitting as well. If you don't know how to bind off, that's okay. As long as you know how to bind off in Tunisian crochet, then you're golden. So if you have that and you just have a little bit of knowledge on how to actually read a knitting pattern, again, it's very similar to Tunisian crochet patterns, regular crochet patterns, then you probably can do it, and you can probably look at the pattern and be like, yes, this one's going to work. No, that one's not going to work. So yeah, all of these on this page I actually think would translate pretty well into Tunisian crochet. But let's see this guy over on this side. Like, yeah, this one you could probably do, and this one This one, I don't even, like, I'm not even sure what cross 2L is. I would, like I said, I consider myself, I'm an okay knitter, but I'm not advanced by any means. So this would be a little bit, as I say, above my pay grade here. So I'm not sure if this would translate in Tunisian crochet. I'm probably going to say no at this point. And yeah, like this one, I don't think would translate because like you're knitting one in the back, which I actually kind of know what that is, which you're not really doing that in Tunisian crochet. I mean, like I said, maybe you could, but I don't have enough knowledge to be able to figure that out. So as of right now, I'm going to say no to that one. I hope this video was a little bit helpful in trying to understand how to convert a knit pattern, a regular knit pattern, into Tunisian crochet. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.